Hi, thanks for joining us. My name's Kate Edwards and I'm with Together Hospitality, and I'm joined today by my friend Suzanne.
I'm Suzanne Wines. I'm the founder of I-Beam Design. We're an architecture and design firm that specializes in hospitality.
Now, what I love hearing is that you do architecture and design. So I imagine that that's a value add for the clients who work with you.
So it's kind of a kill two birds with one stone, so to speak. And then we have designers in the firm that we work with, and especially in hospitality in New York City. It really makes sense to sort of efficiently work with someone who can take care of both of those needs.
Now, something that you've talked about, and I love this term, is something that you focus on creating for your clients is a craveable space. What does that mean to you?
In the hospitality industry, the word craveable is used very often, associated with the food, the experience, the service, something where people are drawn to come back. They may not even really know what it is that is drawing them to come back, but we do that with the environment. We try to create a complete dining experience. Operators, for them, obviously efficiency and consistency and all of that is very important. We believe design plays an important role in creating that total experience for the customer. And also for the people who work in the restaurant, laying out an efficient space that works impeccably, that people aren't running into each other. A lot of experience laying out a kitchen, laying out a bar, laying out service stations where the entry is, how to negotiate between deliveries of food and picking up of delivery orders. So all of this is the kind of choreography that we help the client resolve within the space that they're looking at.
So it's great hearing that you really focus on the utility of it as well as the aesthetics. So then what are some of those like intangible pieces that create this craveable space?
When we start to work with a client, we talk to them, listen to them, and really try to understand their business model and their brand identity. And then we help them translate that into an environment, a kind of craveable environment, if you will. The elements that are critical to in terms of creating that craveable environment, first of all, curb appeal, right? You want customers to walk by and be drawn to your restaurant. So obviously lighting, if you have an outdoor dining experience, I mean, that's an amazing that's free advertising. You've got a bunch of happy customers who are out there with beautiful food and they're happy and they're enjoying the experience. So that's first. Then coming in, the welcoming experience at the hostess station. Hopefully you have lines out the door, but you've got a place for people to wait. So first impressions are really important. There has to be space for people to move around each other. There has to be sort of a welcoming environment, somewhere people waiting for a table can stand, preferably with a drink in hand. There has to be some focus features that they can remember. It might be subliminal. They don't even know what they remembered, but they know when they walked in, they were like, wow, this is great. The lighting is great. The acoustics are great. I can smell the delicious food. I can smell the fresh flowers. These are all kind of intangible things. All of those things really actually feed into the memorable experience more perhaps than the color and the shape of something.
That's right. And then what's the process for somebody selecting a site?
So we try to identify 3 or 4 critical things that we can translate from the business's objectives and brand identity into the space. First, we try to find, they're looking at locations. We're happy to go with clients to look at locations and see if they're appropriate for their business. Does that, can I put a hood in here? Can I vent? How many floors are there? What's the landmark status of the building or the block or the neighborhood? Is the place handicapped accessible? So we help you sort of almost do a feasibility study right out to evaluate all of those technical things that every place is going to have something, but you want to understand clearly what the objectives of the client are and what their needs are, and see how appropriate the space is, both in terms of creating that craveable, magical environmental experience.
For instance, you had shared that you had a client once that found this amazing space. It was so beautiful, it was so great, in the perfect location, and you were like, nope, doesn't work, because of that feasibility.
The infrastructure wasn't there. The electrical, the gas, the plumbing, everything had to be brought from the other end of the building, which was 200 feet away and 2 basements down. And that would have been an enormous expense.
It would be something we would say, don't fall in love with the space. You've got to make sure that you can do your concept in the space.
Exactly. What works for one client may not work for another. And very often people go into a space, oh, it's got a kitchen, it's got a hood, all I need to do is bring in my new equipment and hook it up. No, the venting has to be sized and designed according to the equipment that you have. So there's a lot of technical issues that need to be looked at. And it's not a big deal. A lot of times you go in now, everything is moving toward electric. trying to meet carbon emission requirements by 2030. The city is discouraging the use of installation of new gas to some degree. Do you even have electric, or are you going to have to bring, you need, 300-400 amps to run a restaurant? Do you have to bring that from the street? That's going to cost you something. All doable. It's just, what are your objectives and what are the challenges that make sense to spend a little extra time and money with, and what are the challenges that just don't.
So crucial for your operation. Same with behind the bar, right? We need things to be there. And then you talked earlier about having a focus moment. So what would be a focus moment? Why is that important?
We really try to get them the biggest bang for their buck. So for example, you don't want to spend a lot of money on some very expensive mosaic floor that no one's going to see, that's just going to get dirty. It's going to be a maintenance nightmare.
Interesting.
You want to keep your money where the eyeballs are. You want to
Right.
keep your money where the customer experience is. So keep it above the bar top, keep it above the tabletops, keep it, very often we're in a very tall space now. That's an opportunity for design that is often not seized. Even if you have a low ceiling, all the eyeballs can see the ceiling. That's a
right.
place to do a mural or have a great light fixture, something that people will remember. The back bar, for example, if it's tall, oh my gosh, first of all, you can use it for storage, and then you can
Yes.
really advertise and of course make money by enticing people to drink by designing a beautiful back bar. Or maybe the outdoor dining opportunity, or maybe you have a garden. Pick 3 or 4 things where you can really translate your message. It's all about communication. Restaurant business, hospitality business, design business, it's all about communication,
100%.
right? How you played it, the menu, the graphics, well, the space is very much about communication.
That sounds like that's the moment, right? When you can see beyond what's in there and then create this very functional space for your people that has these beautiful moments that will become memorable for their guests. Like, how do you define success then? When a project's successful, it is doing what?
First of all, it's creating that craveable experience that will make customers want to come back. So you've got to maximize the rate of return with your customer. And the fact that it's memorable, they tell their friends about it. And they bring their friends, and they bring their friends, and they bring their colleagues. That's really important. Again, free advertising.
Right.
Leverage that as best you can, right? And then in terms of layout, obviously New York, there's not enough space. I mean, the things that people can do in New York, they have these ridiculous spaces, and I'm like, actually, no, you're missing the opportunity. You're up close against, with your customer. It's an intimate experience. So very often, with tight spaces can be even more efficient. Your staff is more efficient because they're familiar, but you need consistency. Everything laid out exactly as it should be, always the same, so your staff knows exactly where everything is. They don't have to look, they don't have to search, they don't have to stumble over each other, laying out an extremely efficient space, and that everything works. I mean, that's, my greatest joy is the experience is amazing, the customers love it, they have no idea why they love it, but everything is working from the hood to where the glasses are stored. Architecture is about kind of massaging things. There's all these different forces acting on a space, invisible forces, and you're sort of creating magic from all those forces.
I love that. I'm feeling the magic right now, Suzanne. Thanks for sharing with us. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. This was a lot of fun.